Hi, welcome to Future Technos. I've been using the Nikon ZF for quite some time now. Not as a YouTuber, but as a professional photographer. And I want to make that distinction right away. Because when I watch many YouTube reviews, I often notice they approach cameras from the perspective of content creation, not from the perspective of someone who actually uses them day in and day out for photography work. And that difference matters. Many reviewers say things like, "This camera is great, but it doesn't have this feature, so I can't use it." Or, "It confuses me, so I won't recommend it." That's not how working photographers think. For us, the real question is simple: does it get the job done? Does it allow us to create the images we need to deliver? And when I ask myself that about the Nikon ZF, the answer is clear. This is a spectacular camera. In fact, I don't really have any issues with it. I've been a professional commercial photographer for over 40 years. I started with Nikon and always loved the system. I've used cameras like the Nikon Z7 II and Z6 II, and I was very happy with them. Later, I moved toward Leica when they introduced internal memory for backup. That became very important for my work, and today, I shoot about 90% of my commercial projects with the Leica M system. I absolutely love it. But there are times when manual focus simply won't cut it. Times when autofocus is not just helpful, but essential. And that's where the Nikon ZF comes in. I've tested many options for that role. I tried the Leica SL, hoping to stay in the Leica ecosystem. It's a great camera, but far too big and heavy for what I wanted. The size and bulk just didn't fit my needs anymore. I've used Canon, I've used Nikon's larger systems, and I've even tried combinations with massive prime lenses. But I always came back to the same thought: I wanted something smaller, lighter, and easier to carry. Something flexible that didn't compromise on image quality. And that's exactly what the ZF gave me. One of the first things I did was pair it with lenses like the 28mm and the 40mm, both of which are compact. I also used the 50mm 1.8 and the 85mm 1.8. These lenses are not flashy, and some people even complain about their looks. They say the modern plastic design doesn't match the retro style of the ZF body. But honestly, does that matter? We are photographers. We should care about the images we make, not whether our gear looks stylish on the shelf. For me, carrying a small, practical lens beats dragging around a heavy 50mm 1.2 any day. I want a tool that's easy to handle and reliable in the field. And that's what this combination gives me. Now, I understand the appeal of aesthetics. A good-looking camera feels good in the hand. But if you're judging a camera only on looks, you're missing the point. Cameras are not fashion accessories. They're tools for creating. And when it comes to performance, the Nikon ZF delivers beautifully. The image quality is excellent. The autofocus works when I need it. And the files are more than enough for professional use. At 24 megapixels, some people say it's not enough. But let me tell you, for real-world professional work, 24 megapixels is more than fine. Clients don't pixel peep. They don't zoom in at 400% to look at eyelashes. They look at the final image, in print or on screen, and they care about impact, color, and story. And this camera gives me exactly what I need for that. In fact, even on my Leica M, I often bring the resolution down to 36 megapixels when I don't need the full 60. Why? Because it's simply not necessary for every job. The obsession with higher megapixels is mostly a YouTube talking point, not a professional requirement. And that's an important difference I want to emphasize. Most of the complaints I hear about the ZF come from YouTubers who are not really working photographers. They make content. They talk about specs. But they don't use these cameras the way professionals do. Of course, there are exceptions. Some YouTubers are also excellent photographers. But in general, many of the so-called flaws they point out are things that simply don't matter in day-to-day shooting. When I use this camera, I don't stress about battery life. I have 3 batteries. If you're working professionally, you always carry backups. It's the same with my Leica. In fact, I've never had to use more than 1 battery in a day with it, but I still carry spares. That's just part of being prepared. So when I hear someone complain that the ZF doesn't have amazing battery life, I just shrug. For real photographers, that's not a deal breaker. So, for me, the ZF fits perfectly into my workflow. It's small. It's light. It's reliable. And it makes my job easier when I need autofocus. It doesn't replace my Leica, but it complements it beautifully. And that balance is exactly what I was looking for.